Hello YouTube, you got Video Game House here again with another perfect order list of my own design. So we played around with the Lucario list with adding in the Tech Zygarde, and honestly, very funny. And more consistent than I would expect it to be, because Zygarde keeps coming out because it's actually relatively stronger than I'd expect it to be. If that makes sense. Let's go over this. I'll explain everything. So we have the 3 count of Binacle Barbaracle. Binacle does have a 1 energy, draw 2 cards. Unfortunately, the downside to Binacle and Barbaracle being a 2 energy retreat cost, which is why we run the Air Balloon as a free retreat option, because it's going to be targeted as a boss's orders lock. And if you don't have, we have Air Balloon, we have Switch, we have Secret Box to help gather those things to help us get out of it. We have Petrel, which can search Secret Box or Switch or Air Balloon in order to get these things to try and get ourselves out of that kind of a situation. But I kind of feel as though it doesn't really matter. It's always going to be the target for a boss's orders kind of play. But Barbaracle, very useful because of its ability Stone Arms, which says once during your turn, you can use this ability to attach a basic fighting type energy from your hand to one of your fighting type Pokemon. This targets the bench or active fighting type Pokemon. So, since you can pair it with Riolu and Lucario, which is a 1 energy Aura Jab for 130, which can get you up to 3 fighting energies from your discard pile onto any of your bench Pokemon, and Barbaracle with Stone Arm to attach a fighting energy anywhere you want onto one of your fighting type Pokemon, you are able to set up Lucario with 1 energy from hand, 1 Barbaracle, and then boom, you're hitting for its Mega Attack, Mega Brave 270 very, very easily. Or you can use Aura Jab for that 130 to set up 3 energy on the bench. The reason that's so effective is because you have Lunatone and Solrock with Lunar Cycle, which allows you to discard a fighting type energy from your hand, draw 3 cards. Now you have a fighting energy in the discard pile. So you can use that Mega Lucario's Aura Jab to set up the fighting energy onto one of your other Pokemon, or you have options where you can still use things like Night Stretcher or Energy Retrieval in order to get the energies back into your hand and have Barbaracle place them somewhere else. Our techables are Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, which, yes, funny enough, still in this day, people are still not playing around Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, and there are matches where you can just put him on the board, attach 3 energies, consistently keep punching your opponent in the face, and they can't do anything about it. Yeah, definitely a good tech to include because there are so many decks where people just aren't playing around it, especially during release of Perfect Order, where people aren't thinking about that and only thinking about the fun new cards. Next up, Mega Zygarde EX. We only run a Tech 1 of this because it's strong, but in my opinion, I don't think you want to rely on it too much, so I think adding a second one, which is what a lot of people are doing, doesn't seem that strong. It just kind of takes away an extra slot in your deck, where you can instead use it for something else. Your main concern is you can use Lucario to hit 130, 270, you can use Solrock to hit 70 for that early game damage, and you can use Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon if necessary in order to set some things up. So it's not terrible, you don't need Zygarde, but funny enough, it kept happening. Because if you have Mega Lucario in the active space, you're able to kind of sit him there and tell your opponent, if you don't deal with this, you're going to have a problem. And if they do deal with it, you have a backup Mega Zygarde, which can actively still hit Nullifying 0. Now let me explain Mega Zygarde. It's a 3 energy, 200 damage move that has a minus 30 from your opponent's Pokemon next turn to his HP. So, cool. Still strong. 200 minus 30 is pretty good. But its second attack, Nullifying 0, is for every Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field, you flip a coin. For every heads, you deal 150. Pokemon TCG Live is kind of weird in this instance. I think I might be able to show it off in the video, but it targets the active Pokemon first, and then it goes left to right. But I swear that one time when I did it, it went from right to left, and I don't understand that. I don't know why it's coded that way. I don't know if it's coded for some specific reason that way, but it's whatever. You don't target anything, it just kind of goes off. So save some time. And then finally, our one last techable, Meowth EX. You're going to have a Meowth EX in every single deck, but it does have Last Ditch Catch, which you are then able to search your deck for any one of your supporter cards and add them to your hand. Lilies, Petrel, Bosses, and Judge really do not need any kind of a explanation. But just to let you guys know the combos, you have Petrel, which can search out Secret Box, which you then can clear your entire hand out, let's say, in order to give yourself a Lillies for a follow-up turn. It can give you the Team Rocket's Factory, and since you've used Petrel, you get to draw 2 cards off of that, giving you a free item like Gong or Stretcher, Retrieval, Poké Pad. All of those are really, really useful depending on the situation, and still giving us a tool. We'll go over the tools in a second. Let's go over Tarragon and Wally's Compassion. Tarragon, which allows you to look at your discard pile, it's Tulip for fighting types, and add any combination of 4 fighting type Pokemon and fighting type energies back to your hand, which is pretty good when you have Barbaracle, because it allows you to place those energies back down immediately if need be. It allows you to go get Lucario that got knocked out, put it back in your hand, and then be able to play it immediately. Again, 1 energy, really, really useful. And then we have Wally's Compassion, which states, if you guys don't know, you can target a Mega Pokemon EX, heal it for all of the damage it has on it, and then you return all the energy on that Pokemon back to your hand. When you have Barbaracle, you can use the energy you put back into your hand to place it somewhere else if need be, or you can just put it back down on the Mega Pokemon that has taken damage, and you'll still have your manual attached. So Mega Lucario could easily just go, oh man, I have taken 300 damage. Wally's Compassion, heal to full, you get your 2 energies back to hand, Barbaracle attach, manual attach, and you're hitting Mega Brave. Or if you don't need to use Mega Brave that turn, you can still energy attach or a jab. You have an energy in your hand now because you've used Wally's to combo it with Lunatone's Lunar Cycle, Barbaracle, Stone Arms to put it somewhere else, and just kind of have the extra utility. Obviously, some cards that are not necessary to go over, we got the Fighting Gong, Night Stretchers, Energy Retrieval, Poké Pad, Ultra Ball, Secret Box Switch, Air Balloon, Core Memory, and Power Glass are kind of in there, but they're like for ditch effort kind of situations. Core Memory is a special type of tool that can only be equipped to Zygarde EX, Mega Zygarde EX, where it uses 4 fighting energy to do 350 damage. If you're already trying to use Nullifying 0, you can get to that 350 very easily, so it does one-shot essentially everything in the game without boosters. It just has 350, but you have to discard all of the energy attached, and unfortunately, Core Memory doesn't get detached from it, so you can't replace Core Memory with something like Power Glass. You would have to kind of have multiple Barbaracles set up, so you hit that 350, and then your next turn can be like Tarragon into getting those energies back, into Barbaracle ability, and then a manual attach for 200 to kind of like allow Zygarde to keep attacking. So it's kind of awkward, but it does get that one shot on most things. It allows you to take out Dragapult in one shot. It allows you to take out Grimmsnarl in one hit, most Megas in one hit. So it's useful. And then we do have Power Glass. It's kind of in there as a placeholder. I would probably sub that one out for maybe a secondary Air Balloon to make it easier to retreat your Barbaracles if necessary. And or maybe a different tool that could be a little bit more assistive, maybe Vitality Band for the Solrock to hit 80, because a lot of these new Pokemon have 80 HP. We also do run Team Rocket's Factory, like I said. We do run 3 Petrel, and surprisingly enough, it's actually a pretty solid stadium to get a +2 in this deck, so, you know, with Secret Box, like, you can go Petrel into Secret Box into getting a stadium for Factory, use Factory to remove your opponent's stadium, and also get a +2 from drawing. So your Secret Box gives you another supporter for the next turn, an item, a tool, and a stadium that you can draw 2 more cards off of. So pretty useful when you're trying to find all your fighting type energies. Obviously the 10 fighting type energies because we need a lot of energies in the list. Let's get to the games, and I will show you what I mean with how good this deck can really be. A reminder that these matches are all streamed live on twitch.tv/videogamehouse. If you guys want to come check me out, my stream will be in the description below. And this is one of our very fun games that I actually enjoyed. Like I said, Nihil Zero comes up more often than you'd expect it to, and you may have seen the other A-Spec was Secret Box. This was one of the earlier games where we were trying out Precious Trolley, because we're able to use Petrel for the free search into Precious Trolley into setting up our entire bench, which allows us to use Lunatone and Solrock on one almost guaranteed, which allows us to draw 3 cards and kind of set ourselves up, because we still have to evolve all the Binacles into Barbaracles, the Riolus into Mega Lucario, and so we need to kind of like get some stuff, and obviously using the draw 3 to get us as many energies as possible, as quickly as possible, so Zygarde can go off. In a perfect match, you can probably get 2 Binacles on one, evolve them both, and potentially set up Mega Zygarde by turn 2, turn 3, and hit that Nihil Zero. And it's it's just so peak. It feels so good because you're like, I could win the game right now. You don't, because I swear to God, this thing has an issue with coin flips, but it can happen, and it's hysterical. So as you guys see, my opponent was able to go Dunsparce on our turn 1, and we were able to clear that. Our opponent doesn't really get too far, but with this being the new Alakazam list, they are using that telepathic energy, which allows them to get more Abras. I assume they aren't running Lillie's Clefairy in here. I feel like they obviously could be or should be because of how easy it is to just add that to a deck, and then suddenly your Lillie's Clefairy can one-shot your opponent's Dragapult very easily, without having to waste too much value. You have Wondrous Patch already with Alakazam, so you can easily just go Lillie's Clefairy, Wondrous Patch gets a Psychic Energy on it, you know, another Telepathic Energy, and boom, now Lillie's Clefairy is set up, your bench has Abras and Dunsparce is all ready to go, so you don't got to worry about Judge hits and stuff like that. So I feel like this guy just wasn't using Clefairy because it does have an advantage, especially against Mega Lucario, who's weak to Psychic. My opponent is just trying to draw cards to do some big damage, but he's not finding Dunsparce, so he had to play the Enriching Energy on the Kadabra, which, if you guys have watched my Alakazam videos, I personally know how unfortunate that feels. And we have just lost a Mega Pokemon, and our energy's with it. But if you look at our hand, boy howdy, are we ready to go. We have all... I mean, sorry, not a Mega Pokemon. We lost an energy is what I meant to say. And we were debating whether or not we wanted to dumpster the energy with Lunatone. I'm like, if I use it, I could draw another one, but if I don't, I'm screwed. And luckily, we just went, you know what? I can take the knockout on Alakazam regardless, so that's fine. We'll just go with this. But we got there, and now we are set up with the Mega Lucario setup, the Zygarde is set up, and I just hit my opponent with a Judge out of 10 cards. So now it's just flip coin. How many times do we get knockouts? Unfortunately, the active Pokemon is still affected by resistance, so Alakazam does have a fighting type resistance, so it was able to survive a hit. Pheasantipity, on the other hand, has a weakness to fighting, so if we ended up finding a boss's orders, we were like, oh, dude, this game is over already. But the more he has to put on the bench, and not seeing a Shaman, my opponent can't do anything. So now we're just looking, and we're just like, you know what? I don't want to play too many cards. Let's hit him. Boom, 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 boom. We hit only 2 out of 6? And my opponent's still in the game? Okay, I guess. I was furious. But honestly, that's just how Pokemon TCG Live works. If I hit literally 1 more heads on either the Alakazam or I think it was an Abra at the time, or maybe a Kadabra, I'm not even sure, I didn't look. We would have won the game right there. That would have been it, because it was my last prize card. Only Pheasantipity would have survived. But my opponent couldn't take the knockout. They were off by 1 card, so we're like, obviously, we win the game. We retreat. Lucario gets the knockout, but we're going to have to try this anyway. Whiffed it. I needed 1 heads on either Alakazam because the bench doesn't take resistance, so the bench one would have gotten knocked out. Or the Fez, if it took a heads, it would have survived. But it was like 2 out of 3 heads got me the win right there. And then I'm just like, all right, whatever. The thing is, my opponent had 5 prizes up there, and we have Switch in our hand. They don't run hand disruption. So I was like, all right, it doesn't matter. Because if he tries to, I don't know, boss Switch in or something like that to try and stall the game, it's like, it doesn't matter. But it's like, whatever. We have win, just Lucario punch game. But I was like, God damn it. I wanted it to happen. I wanted it to happen so bad. Another very fun matchup is Team Rockets. I definitely feel like Team Rockets is one of the better decks of this format because 1, it's a single prize matchup, and 2, it runs a ton of supporters that are so disrupting to the game plan. Archer, 4 count, Team Rockets Giovanni is a boss's orders, is like an escape rope, but targeted, just amazing. Ariana to draw up to 8. It just feels more powerful than it really should be because it's still a basic deck. But this is the deck that we showed you guys at the very beginning of the game. If you want to learn about the matchups that we were running into with this thing, it's pretty funny. Especially because my opponent here wasn't really able to do anything. We kind of got free value out of this. They Roto Stick, they Transceiver into Ariana to draw 4, and they still can't find an energy, which I know this deck. They run 4 of the triple energies, and they run 4 of the Team Rocket energies, and they just can't find it. So they just have to pass, and our Solrock gets a free knockout. But that's why I also said earlier, instead of Power Glass, if we had Vitality, we would be hitting for 80. We would have taken a knockout on that Murkrow on turn 1. Now I have to spend more time. It's kind of good, kind of bad, because of the way that we have the board state set up. We're able to still use Barbaracle. We're still able to get our energies back. And now I'm just setting up a Zygarde on the bench, because if we get there, it does 150 damage. So even that Articuno doesn't protect it. So we're just kind of like sitting there, set up everything. Let's just see where it goes. Get a free knockout. It's not impossible. It's just unlikely that they're able to find an answer to the play, especially if they put a Honchkrow up front. So I can't use like Giovanni to switch my Zygarde in and then take a knockout by getting rid of 6, supporters. So they have to just figure out what they have to do. Archer for me, I was like, oh, Petrel Energy. Wow, that's good enough for me. And my opponent concedes, but we could have gone Petrel. I could have gotten an extra draw too because he had Team Rocket's Factory down. We could have gone into a secret box, still drew more cards, and then still got more stuff that we wanted, and potentially even got Zygarde off that turn, which would have been crazy. So my opponent couldn't deal with the Zygarde. They were just afraid of it and just concede out. Wanted it to work, but it wouldn't let us get there. But it also gives us the advantage in single prize matchups. That's what I kind of wanted to show off. Even in a single prize matchup, if you can get Zygarde set up, yeah, you have Mega Lucario, but Zygarde still has the ability to flip a coin and wipe your opponent's board. If you land it, you just win. My opponent bosses up my Solrock. I was like, well, sure, I guess. This is me looking for Secret Box, where I was just like, all right, well, that sucks. We do have Lunatone, so we're able to still use it, and we had Petrel played, so I was able to use Factory. Draw 2, find a fighting, discard, find more cards. Not finding my Riolus or anything, so I'm like, you know what? We'll just go into this, and we'll start setting it up. If we get lucky, there is that % chance where we can use Zygarde quickly and delete his board before he gets set up. Unfortunately, we didn't get that lucky. The funniest and most unfortunate part about this is I'm weak to Grass, and Badoo doing 20 is actively annoying because it's good value for Dragapult, because more damage counters on the board, more ways for Dragapult to place damage counters to do enough damage to stop me. We didn't get a lot to work with here, so I'm just reshuffling, hoping to find more ways to get more Pokemon down. We got a discard, draw 3. Did we get anything? Yo, we got a Fighting Gong we can't use. I am looking to find a way to get a Switch, because I can't use Switch, so I need Air Balloon to get Barbaracle out of the deck. Again, another reason why I would want a second Air Balloon, because then Petrel can search Air Balloon, and or Secret Box can find Air Balloon, and if our opponent tries to use Barbaracle as a, retreat lock, we can kind of play around it. This is also, like, I drew very poorly, and my opponent somehow also drew very poorly. I wanted to use the Petrel for the draw, too, not really for what happened here, because I was like, oh, I can just retreat, and then I was like, wait, no, I can't. If I do, then I'm just putting Zygarde up to get KO'd, so I don't want to do that. I'd rather Barbaracle just die here. But very, very funny. We got some lucky pings back and forth here, so we're looking at the board state and go, well, what are we going to be able to do about this Badoo? We need another energy, just so that way we can get Zygarde to hit. We can't find it. We know we have 10 energies in the list. So we're like, where's my energy? I have 10 cards in hand, man. My opponent just going for the Dragapult, where it's just going to start being a problem. But he doesn't do anything. He doesn't go into the Dragapult, which is very strange. We have Barbaracle. We hit the Lilies. Top deck like an absolute Chad, getting 4 energies, which, normally isn't great. But in this instance, boy howdy, was it funny. Nihil 0, deleted. Anything that got touched with the heads here dies instantly. Except for Latias. But that's pretty good, taking 2. There was a % chance right here where if we hit 5 heads and we got rid of all of his basics, the game would have just ended on the spot. Or if we just got 2 heads, specifically. If we hit 2 heads on the 2 Drag Cloaks, the game could have just ended right there. Because he would be so far behind, no energy, no Dreepies, no nothing. He would have Badoo in the active, and he would have a Dusclops and a Duskull, which are not going to do anything. So But we did take the calculated risk of like trying for this, where my opponent wanted to go into getting Dusk Noir and Dragapult to take out Zygarde, and we took a risk on it, seeing if he had it. Because if we hit the Dusclops dead, Dusk Noir wasn't going to be a problem. If we took out the the Dragcloaks, the Dragapult wasn't going to be a problem. So, and it's even funny because my opponent, I swear to God, I flip these coins, and then my opponent just goes, I'll still place more cards on the bench. It's like, how about you don't, and just try and get rid of him first. My opponent just goes 50 so he can take out Lunatone, which is fair. He stops me from drawing cards. Not that I realistically needed them, because if you can't take out the Zygarde, the game is just a big old problem. If we got bosses and we flip the coin and we got heads on the Pheasantipity, we take a knockout here. Realistically, we didn't get too far. So it was more of a just, what am I going to do here? Just look at cards, find a Lunatone anyway, and still get the discard draw? Cool. Boom. Nihil 0. And if we got heads 3 times, we win. Ba-ba-da-ba. 4 heads. Dink, dink, and I realized, wait a minute. We only hit the 2 Pokemon that couldn't get KO. But now Dragapult is in a very precarious situation. Of course, since they did take that 150, they only got a $170 left, which Lucario with 2 energy can take out with 270 very easily, or 170, I think I said. Did I say it wrong? I might have said it right. Then we also have the options of Boss's Orders in hand. We would just have to deal with a hand disruption play, but we don't know where Lucario is, so we go in with Jamming Tower, like, on the board. I was like, I'll give him a false sense of security. And then I just switch out the stadium, go into Lucario, bosses up the Pokemon that's weak, Fez, and just delete it. The thing about the deck that I really enjoy is that the Zygarde gives you a % chance to win the game super early, or in the late game gives you a % chance to come back from a losing position. Because if your opponent has stuff like a single prize deck, you can use that thing to potentially wipe their whole board. If they have a 2-prizer deck, you can still use it to soften up all of your opponent's Pokemon, and Mega Lucario can still swing for that 130, taking knockouts. They can also set up other benched Pokemon for attackers. If your opponent takes the knockout on the Zygarde, and you still have 3 prize cards left, they have to go through, like, Mega Lucario in order to win the game. You have Wally's Companion, or Compassion, whatever it is, which allows you to heal. So you can hit that 130 to do damage, but you can also heal yourself back to full for 1 energy back to hand, and then you could just set it up to do 270. Like, the deck has potential. Do I think that it's the best version it can be? No. I honestly believe that you probably only need 1 Barbaracle on the board for it to work, so maybe a 3-3 might be overkill. Do I think I'm not running the right tools? Absolutely. I think Vitality Man would be better. I think that more options to get energies down a little faster somehow, maybe just running a different colored energy so that way you can use like Crespin to get a fighting energy in hand and like a dark energy or some random color energy so we can just put the fighting energy down and use the dark energy for something else. I don't know. Like, there are different options. But I think the deck is strong, and the teched Zygarde does give Lucario a bit more of an edge into the single prize matchups that it didn't have before. You guys like the list? Obviously, grab my list from down below. Let me tell me what you guys changed with the deck to make it a little bit better. And let's run it. Let's see if it works in tournaments. I think it's actually a tournament contestant. So, I mean, hey, if you guys use it in tournament, obviously let me know how you did. Catch you guys in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed this one.